Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here is a discussion, very wonderful discussion where Narada Muni is talking about his own previous life. To whom? To Vyasadeva. And he says this very wonderful thing in the shloka. Tatranvaham Krishna Katha Pragayatam Anugrahena Shranavam Manoharah Ta Shraddhaya Menupadam Vishranavataha Priyashravasyangamama Bhavadruchihi. O Vyasadeva, in that association and by the mercy of those great Vedantists, I could hear them describe the attractive activities of Lord Krishna. And thus, listening attentively, my taste for hearing of the personality of God had increased at every step. So Narada Muni had a great opportunity. And what was that great opportunity? He got an opportunity to hear directly from great personalities, Vedantists. And see here in this verse, very nicely, the word Vishranvataha is used. And that means hearing attentively, Shraddhaya, respectfully. In one of the previous sessions, I had given a seminar on 8 elements of Srimad Bhagavatam class. Let me see if you all remember. The Kirtan itself, Jai Radha Madhav, that itself is a very important element which prepares our consciousness. Second, the Mangalacharan prayers that we offer. It's a prayer where we are offering it to the Lord saying, I'll not be able to understand Srimad Bhagavatam. You please make me understand. So these prayers are not for time pass. These prayers are a very, very important element of a Bhagavatam class, both for the speaker and for the listener. Speaker is praying that I don't know what to speak, you speak through me. And listener is praying, how will I understand what he is speaking? You please make me understand. So intensely offer prayers. Third, yes, the shloka recitation that we do. For us, the Sanskrit shloka, word to word meaning, translation, purport, all of that is a Vedic hymn for us. It's all absolute and perfect. And that has all power to purify all of us. Fourth, the class itself. So when we are hearing the class, that's the main substance. Fifth, so making notes. That's an important element of Bhagavatam class. Because you see, Srila Prabhupada, when he instated this Srimad Bhagavatam class, when he started this Bhagavatam class, the main goal was to study Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. So morning Bhagavatam, evening Bhagavad Gita. So it was a study class. It was not some entertainment class. It was a study class. Study means immediately notebook and pen should be there. So that's fifth element. Sixth is to ask questions, as you all rightly said. Seventh, okay, sharing of one's reflections. What did you understand in today's session? What was that punchline for yourself that punched you nicely? So what is that got transformation for you? Or you felt that this will bring transformation? That's reflections. And eighth, application. Very important. If you apply even one point in our life, we will see that we'll be more enthusiastic next time to attend a Bhagavatam class. So these are the 8 elements of Bhagavatam class. So from this purport, we'll try to focus on one word, that is attentively hearing the class. Now, how to hear attentively is today's topic, or the science of attentively hearing a Bhagavatam class. First and foremost, which class should I hear? No, we should discuss this. This is very important. Then we'll talk about attentively hearing that. Which class should I hear? See, in our organization, there are two types of classes. One is meant for newcomers, and one is meant for devotees. So, in the newcomer class, we will see the basic concepts will be discussed. So, in 1 hour class, only few concepts will be discussed. Because the main thing for newcomers in the class is to hold them in Krishna consciousness for some time. So, whatever they are able to resonate, so speaker will try to speak that, giving examples and philosophy from the Vedic scriptures. So main goal is to hold them for some time so that they become a little fixed up in their practice. So holding is what is needed there. And therefore you will see the speakers will have a lot of things in their class, a lot of masala. There will be some nice jokes will be there. And then some talks here and there, some case studies. Everyone laughs in the class, very happy, and they decide, again I'll come next time. And preacher is successful. Because that is what is takeaway from the class. We don't want any other takeaway. Now, one of the devotee who was getting ready for giving the class for newcomers was saying, Prabhuji, how will I present all these concepts? I should present it properly, or else how will they remember? I said, don't worry. No one will hear your concepts and no one will remember any of it. The only thing that you have to do is impress upon people that Krishna consciousness is needed, therefore you should come next time also. So this is what is the goal of a newcomer class. You hold the people, get them again. But the goal of devotee class is completely different. Because for devotees, what we need is spiritual nourishment. They're already held in Krishna consciousness. They're there. They want to advance now. Now for advancement, what they need is spiritual nourishment. And that is what is needed in a devotee class. Therefore, every single devotee or sadhaka who wants to advance in bhakti should be able to differentiate between the two classes, the newcomer class and the devotee class. And accordingly, I should choose, who am I? Am I a newcomer or am I a sadhaka who is interested to advance in bhakti? And accordingly, choose your lectures or the speakers and hear. Because there will be some speakers who have profiled themselves for newcomers only. There are some speakers who profile themselves for devotees only. There are some speakers who profile themselves just for boiling the milk. Yes. Condensed form of devotional service they want to present. In this way, you will see that there are speakers, varied number of speakers. And accordingly, we should choose which speaker should I hear. This is the first thing. Now, how should I analyze that which speaker should I hear from regularly? Once in a while, yes, when we have like this physical class, whoever is giving class, we should sit and hear. But then when I decide to hear regularly someone's recordings, I should be very careful because that person's Vani is going to affect my consciousness. And that's going to prepare my consciousness for my advancement in spiritual life. So how should I choose? First and foremost, the devotee should be presenting Shastra as it is. Very important. Sometimes it feels really odd that a devotee has spent good number of years in Krishna consciousness is not even quoting one shloka in his lecture. That feels very odd. So when you present Shastra as it is, there should be shlokas that is quoted as it is from the Shastra. If not Sanskrit shloka, at least the translation as it is should be read or should be spoken from the memory. Something which is as it is. And the entire class should revolve around that subject matter. So this is the first thing, presenting scriptures as it is. So we also, when we are giving classes for devotees, we should be very careful on this point. We should be presenting Shastra as it is. Sometimes it's very hilarious, sitting on the Vyasasana in a Bhagavatam class, when devotees are there who have a desire to advance in bhakti, the Bhagavatam speakers are singing some Bollywood song to establish some context. Just imagine some devotee sitting. That song was his favorite song before coming to Krishna consciousness. Can you imagine? That one line will take him away out of the Bhagavatam class. He'll come back only at the end when it is said, Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Isn't that a fact? Yes. All that is connected to that song, will come. Therefore, we should be very careful. At least when we are giving Bhagavatam class, we shouldn't be singing some songs or telling some titles of the movies and this and that. We should be very, very careful. We shouldn't spoil the devotees who have come to hear our class. We shouldn't spoil their consciousness. And we should choose speakers accordingly. We don't want to hear Bollywood titles and Bollywood songs in a Bhagavatam class. We are here to spiritually nourish ourselves. Very important. One of my friend was giving Bhagavatam class, and he told, he just what to say? He recollected the title of a Bollywood movie, and after the class, I caught him. I said, because of you, I couldn't hear anything in the Bhagavatam class because that was my favorite movie. Why did you do this with me? He said that I promise henceforth never I'll do this. So this is one. And also at times you will find that sometimes in a Bhagavatam class, there is no strong philosophy that is spoken. One thing is the speakers on the Vyasasana are not here to entertain people. They're here to present the philosophy as it is. Again, mind you, I'm talking about classes which are meant for devotees, not for newcomers. So don't get confused. Newcomers are sitting and you start punching them left, right, center with philosophy. Then never they will come back again. You should be very, very creative in your approach when you're talking to newcomers. Very important. And at times you also find that the acharyas are not glorified. Their teachings are not presented as it is. So we should analyze all this. All these are present in a Bhagavatam class or no? If not, then what's the point of hearing a Bhagavatam class? How will I get to know that which is the best speaker for myself? Or which is the best class for myself? See, whenever we are hearing a class, at least in that class when I'm sitting, my desire to render a devotional service should intensify. I should feel like, at least class mein baithne ke dauran, I'm not talking after the class. At least during the class, I should feel that I should do more devotional service. I should intensify my devotional service. And if you can retain that during prasadam and after that also, really appreciate it. This is the first thing. Second is our desire to serve the mission should increase. Because after all, we are on a mission. And if our desire to serve the mission is not increasing, then what's the point? It should increase. That's the second thing. Our faith in Srila Prabhupada should increase. It shouldn't happen that we are attending a Bhagavatam class sitting in an ISKCON center and our faith in Prabhupada is going down. Can you imagine? That's going to be so disastrous for a devotee's progress. So this is something that has to be taken care of. Faith in Prabhupada should increase. And our faith and desire to be a staunch Gaudiya Vaishnava should increase. After all, we have subscribed to the parampara called Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. And if our desire to become a nice, strong Gaudiya Vaishnava doesn't increase, what's the point? And if you're not able to relate to the parampara, if you're not feeling proud about being part of Gaudiya Vaishnava parampara, then what's the point? How will you be able to serve? And how will you be able to follow the instructions given in the parampara? And also very, very important, when we are sitting in the class or when we are hearing some recordings or whatever, whichever class, our desire to attain Krishna Prem within this life should increase, intensify. This desire should intensify. One thing you will see that those devotees who have this desire intense, they are on the autopilot mode. Unka bhakti chalta rahega. So to be frank, what we need in our life is the prayojan to be clear, and our desire, the intensity of our desire to attain that prayojan should be very clear. It should be very intense. And if that is there, you will see everything else will fall in place. All clarity will come. Whatever is needed, that will come. And whatever distractions are there, all that will be able to get rid of. If the prayojan is clear, that is Krishna Prem, and the desire to attain that within this life, if that is clear, yes, we'll be able to get rid of all the other distractions, be very focused and march towards it. So these are some of the things I could think of. How to choose a Bhagavatam speaker for hearing some recordings. But when you're sitting in a physical class, you should be looking out for this in a Bhagavatam class. Very, very important. I'll speak on how to make notes today. So when you're making notes, these are the points, which should come in your notes. And then you should write, okay, so about Prayojan, Krishna Prem. Okay, what did the speaker say? You can note down about that. How to intensify one's devotional service. Okay, jot down some points for that. Something like this. Now, how can we have an impactful Shravanam? By the way, one point should be clear for all devotees who attend Bhagavatam class, that we are not here to get information. हो गया वो, the starting में आए Bhagavatam club, as soon as we came to ISKCON, that was the time when we were exploring more information, and the notes will be elaborate. But now we are not here for information. We are here aiming for heart transformation. What's the point of gaining information? No transformation in the heart. What's the point? No realizations. What's the point? So we're not here for information only. We are here for heart transformation. Always remember this. What is an impactful Shravanam? Very beautifully, Kapil Dev is telling this. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido bhavanti ratkarna rasayana katah tajjoshadadashva pavarga vartmani shraddharatir bhaktir anukramishyati. The most impactful hearing is when you sit in the association of devotees and hear. That's the most impactful hearing. And Srila Prabhupada writes in this purport, this process of hearing in the association of devotees is especially recommended in the age of Kali. Look at the statement that Prabhupada has given. Such a wonderful statement. This process of hearing in the association of devotees is especially recommended in the age of Kali. So sitting amongst devotees and hearing Krishna Katha, philosophy of Krishna consciousness, is the most impactful Shravanam. Because there will be some devotees who might be very intense in their mood. And just because they are sitting in the class and there is physical presence of the speaker who is mature and who has spent a good amount of time in Krishna consciousness, so naturally we will see the entire wave in the entire hall will be full of intensity. And the devotees who are sitting in the class who are thanda will also become garam. We'll also feel the heat of Krishna consciousness. And naturally, the entire crowd will be surcharged with Krishna consciousness. Therefore, this is very impactful hearing, heard in the association of devotees. Therefore, I always say, to sit physically in a class and hear is a very, very great opportunity. It's a benediction. It's a benediction. Analyze for yourself. How many physical classes we get? For brahmacharis or full-time brahmacharis in the temple, every day one class, max 2 class. Obviously, new Bhakta trainees have 3 classes. Yes. They are fortunate to have 5 hours of class. Otherwise, max 1 class, even for full-time brahmacharis. Physical class I'm talking about. And those devotees who are still working professionals, and those who are married, max 1 class a week. We call that a Sunday feast in ISKCON, or Srimad Bhagavatam class, Sunday morning Bhagavatam class, or Saturday morning Bhagavatam class. Can you imagine how rare it is? How rare it is. So now when we're sitting in a Bhagavatam class physically, we should tell our mind, Arey bhai, this is the most rare opportunity that I've got. Don't distract me now. Don't make me sleepy unnecessarily. 1 class in a week I get. Or every day only 1 class I'm getting. Out of 24 hours, only 1 hour I'm able to hear physical class. And in that also I'm getting distracted. What nonsense. What nonsense. So when we remind ourselves, then we will see that we'll be able to focus. 1 class a day or 1 class a week, both are very less for fast purification. That's a fact. And in that also, if we get distracted, gone case. Therefore, attentive hearing is very, very important. Yes. So how to do Shravanam if this question is asked? Our Rupa Goswami, in Nectar of Instruction, he says this. Syat Krishna Nama Charitadi Sitapa Vidya Pitoptara Sanasya Narochikana Kintvadarad Anudinam Khalu Saiva Jushta Swadvikramad Bhavati Tadgada Moolahantri. So Rupa Goswami is saying that if you want to get rid of the disease that you've got by which you're feeling Krishna consciousness to be bitter, like a jaundice patient feels sugar candy bitter, what you should do? Kintu, Adarad, Anudinam, practice bhakti. Every single day, adarad, respectfully, carefully practice devotional service. So, how to do Shravana? This one question is asked. If someone asks you this question, how to do Shravana? Only one answer. Respectfully do Shravana. This is the answer. So, when I'm hearing a class, I should respectfully hear the class. Adarad, carefully. And one of the element of respectfully hearing class, or the most important element of this, is attentive hearing. So, when you're attentively hearing a class, it means that you're respectful. Srila Prabhupada was recognized by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur for his attentive hearing. In Allahabad, when Gaudiya Math devotees, they introduced Abhay Charan Babu to Saraswati Thakur, saying that he wants to take initiation from you. At that time, Saraswati Thakur, he recollected and he said, he attentively hears my classes. And you know what Prabhupada tells in one of the class? He says, when I used to sit in my Guru Maharaj's class, I used to hardly understand anything. But I used to hear attentively. This is the mood of a listener. When you're there in a Bhagavatam class, you understand, you don't understand. But job of a sadhaka who is sitting in a class to hear is to hear respectfully. And how do we understand I'm hearing respectfully or not? When this one word comes into picture, attentively. When I'm attentively hearing, it means I'm respectful. And I'm doing my service of hearing. Very important. Therefore, Shravanam becomes a service when you're respectfully doing Shravanam, attentively doing Shravanam. Suta Goswami, when he was asked by Shaunakadi Rishis in Naimisharanya to speak from Srimad Bhagavatam, he makes a very, very wonderful, profound point. Please hear. Tatra kirtayato vipra viprarsher bhuri tejasah aham chadyagamam tatra nivashtas tad anugrahat soham vah shavaishyami yathadhitam yathamati. So he's saying that yathadhitam yathamati. I shall try to speak Srimad Bhagavatam, whatever I have learned and whatever I have realized. Now say, if Shaunakadi Rishis asked this question to Suta Goswami, how did you hear? And where did you hear? So Suta Goswami is saying that when Shukadev Goswami, when he recites at Srimad Bhagavatam on the banks of Ganga, to whom? To Parikshit Maharaj. At that time, I was sitting in that assembly. And you know what? I heard that class. 7 days, 7 nights, continuous. How did I hear? Nivishtaha. This is the word that is used. Nivishtaha. And it means with rapt attention. So he is saying that I don't have any qualification, but the qualification that I have is I have heard that discourse with rapt attention. And by that, whatever I have learned and whatever I have realized, I'll share that now in this assembly in Naimisharanya. So see, when Suta Goswami is saying that rapt attentive hearing is very, very important. And he says that is my qualification. So therefore, hearing attentively any class that we hear, be it Prabhupada's recordings, or be it the physical class are always very impactful because we are physically sitting and we have no option but to hear. Can you imagine? All the devotees sitting here, at least when you sit in my class, no option. You do anything, I'll catch. Because I have a very bad habit of observing everyone sitting in the class. Some speakers are very merciful. They'll see only 2-3 people and give entire class. Yes. So anyone who dozes off, I observe. Yes. But I don't say anything. Because in the class, you shouldn't humiliate people. Yes. So very, very, very important. In a physical class, we cannot do anything but hear. And what if we start hearing it attentively? That will be so wonderful. Now, what are the signs of attentive hearing? I heard a very nice angle to the shloka chanted by Brahma when he's glorifying Lord Krishna after Brahma Vimohan Leela. Tattenu kampam sushamiksha manu bhunjanu evatma kritam vipakam ritvakva purbhi ridadan namaste jive tayo mukti pade sadaya bhag. So it is described in 3 ways devotees offer respect to the Lord. And now we are talking about respectfully hearing, attentively hearing. So how does a devotee offer respect when he's hearing a Bhagavatam class? Rit, Vak, Vapuhu. Rit means heart or mind. In the mind, he is offering respect. How does he offer respect in the mind? He offers respect in the mind by convincing the mind that this is the most important thing that I am doing. So be attentive. He tells the mind, he convinces himself that this is the most important activity that I am doing. This is the most rare opportunity that I have got. Let me do it very attentively. He convinces his mind. As soon as he convinces the mind, it goes on to say that he is very respectful at the level of mind, at the level of heart. This is Rit. He convinces himself saying, what else can save us in this material world apart from Krishna Katha? And this is what gopis are also saying when they are singing in the mood of separation, when Krishna left them on the Rasasthali. Tava kathamratam tapta jivanam kavibhiriditam kalmashapaham shravanamangalam srimadatam bhuvi grinanti ye bhuridajana. They are saying, Tava kathamratam tapta jivanam. Oh Lord, please tell us, is there any other Amrit for all the suffering living entities of this world? And they are answering, nothing is there, nothing is available apart from your Katha, which is Amrit, which is nectar. So a devotee convinces himself, Arey bhai, I'm burning in the fire of this material existence, and if something can save me, then that is Krishna Katha. And a devotee who sits in the class, he convinces himself, yes, this is what will save me. He convinces himself, I mean to say, he convinces his mind. And that's how he expresses respect at the level of mind. Rit. And at the level of speech, whenever he feels some point entering his heart, he says, Jai, Sadhu, Sadhu. Yes. Obviously, if it disturbs the speaker, don't do that. Yes. Some speakers are okay with it. Yes. Some speakers are okay with it. So that is something that on the level of speech, which is done. And when it comes to level of body, yes, Vapu, Kaya, the devotee sits very respectfully in the class. I have seen some devotees that they'll always fold their palms and sit. Naturally, they're offering respects. Some devotees are very straight. In a full class, they'll sit like this. Come what may, I'll not bend. I know some devotees who take a vow like that. I want to be attentive. I was hearing His Holiness Satyanandan Swami Maharaj's Japa retreat class. In that, Maharaj was saying, and also is written in his book, that when you sit straight, when the spinal cord is straight, he was telling some science behind that. I don't remember what was the sign, but one thing I remember is that when you sit straight, naturally you become receptive to the spiritual subject matters. Any subject matter, and since we're talking about spiritual subject matter, so I said spiritual subject matter, naturally you become very receptive. Yes. Obviously, if you have some back pain, you cannot do anything with that. Yes. But still. So in this way, he has this Vapu. Through Vapu, he expresses attentiveness. And sometimes I see devotees, if they love some point, they clap. They express. Obviously, sometimes some senior devotees, they express that, no, don't clap, it's okay. In North India, I've heard, we shouldn't do this, I'm just saying. Especially in that Bhagavad Sapta, etc. Yes. So when the Bhagavatam speaker is speaking and he makes a very wonderful point, immediately a 100 rupee note is removed and don't do this in ISKCON. There are places like that. Hopefully, they're attentive at the level of body. And they're respectful at the speaker also. And the speaker is also very nice. At the end of the class, he'll go collect everything, put it in his bag and go. So in this way, we have to hear attentively, express respect at the level of mind, at the level of speech, at the level of body. I was contemplating on the subject matter. Who can do all this? We are speaking about all this, but who can actually do all this? First point, which Prabhupada makes. When someone understands the urgency factor, then he can attentively hear. When he understands that this is what it is, this is the only lifeline that I have in my life, and he'll hear attentively. In the pastime, which comes in Bhagavad Mahatmya, a personality called Dhundukari became a ghost due to his various sinful activities that he did. His brother Gokarna, he organized a Bhagavatam Saptaha, 7 days Bhagavatam class. And that ghost was there. He situated himself in a bamboo stick which had got 7 knots. And after the end of every day, 1 knot would burst. Like that, at the 7th day, the last knot bursted, and this personality was in a ghostly body. He attained a divine form, and in front of many personalities, he climbed the celestial airplane or transcendental airplane, and he went to Vaikuntha. Now, he was not the only one who was hearing the Bhagavatam class. All the villagers were also sitting and hearing Bhagavatam class. So they were all astonished. They asked Gokarna that we were also sitting in Bhagavatam class. We were also hearing. But then, he attained the ultimate destination like this, but we have not attained the ultimate destination. Please tell us why. And at that time, Gokarna, he tells, because he was in dire need and he understood the urgency factor. He knew very well this is the only thing that will save me. Nothing else can save me. In fact, Gokarna did this Shraddha for this Dhundukari. Even that didn't help him. And Dhundukari himself, in the ghostly form, he was telling that nothing is helping me. Please help me, oh Gokarna, please help me. And then Gokarna, he makes this very wonderful thing, wonderful statement, and he tells, I'll organize a Bhagavatam class for you. 7 days continuously heard, and only this ghost, Dhundukari, was able to feel that urgency. No one else in the village felt the urgency. Therefore, Gokarna said, in the entire assembly, in the Bhagavatam class, only Dhundukari was attentive. No one else was attentive. And then all the villagers requested, फिर से class हो जाए. Now we have got, what's the point? We have got the crux of the class. We have to be attentive. Once again, you know what? Again, next week, Gokarna organized Bhagavatam class. And now all the villagers were very, very attentive. And the Bhagavad Mahatmya says, at the end of the 7th day, everyone went back home, back to Godhead. Maza aa jayega na? At the end, when we say Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, everyone is flying. Everyone is flying. See, this urgency factor is so wonderful. When Parikshit Maharaj is sitting on the banks of Ganga and hearing Shukadeva Goswami, at least I cannot comprehend what was the urgency factor that Parikshit Maharaj was feeling. But through his verses, through various verses and his expression, through various verses, we can understand that he was very eager, very eager. Shukadeva Goswami is telling, my dear disciple, you have not drunk, you have not eaten, you have not slept for so many days. And at that time, Parikshit Maharaj is saying that who said I'm not drinking? I am drinking with these 2 ears, the nectar flowing from your mouth. Please continue. Please describe elaborately Krishna Leela. When the Krishna Leela began, when the 10th canto began, if I'm not wrong, 4 days were done, only 3 days remaining. And in that, Parikshit Maharaj is saying, Vistarat, describe elaborately. I am not fasting, I am feasting. I am feasting. At least I have experienced, I don't know how many of you have experienced. One thing I have noticed in myself when I'm doing Shravanam, if I'm very attentive, say I'm hearing a Prabhupada class for 15 minutes, and I'm very attentive, making notes, contemplating on it. At the end of my Shravanam, I feel very nourished, very satisfying, very satisfied. How many of you have experienced this? With strong attentive hearing, just for few minutes also. Oh, good numbers. This shows that attentive hearing has a wonderful prowess, wonderful power. Another point which Prabhupada mentions, who can actually attentively, with rapt attention, hear? Prabhupada writes this in the purport to 1344 Bhagavad. One should hear with rapt attention from the real person, and then he can at once realize the presence of Lord Krishna in every page. The secret of knowing Bhagavatam is mentioned here. And now Prabhupada writes a wonderful punchline. No one can give rapt attention who is not pure in mind. No one can be pure in mind who is not pure in action. So he says, if you're not only that person, or I should put it in the same way, who cannot hear with rapt attention? One whose mind is not pure. Whose mind is not pure? Whose actions are not pure. And now Prabhupada mentions, no one can be pure in action who is not pure in eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. So now Prabhupada is saying, these are the four natural instincts. Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya, Maithun. And Prabhupada is saying, anyone who is pure in these four actions, they can be pure at mind and they can be attentive in a Bhagavatam class. Therefore, I love Prabhupada's purports. Look at the analysis that he is giving. If he just says one should hear with rapt attention, we'll wonder, how should I hear? I'm not able to. He's giving us the root cause why I'm not able to hear attentively. When these four natural instinct of ahara, nidra, bhaya, maithun is not proper, is not pure, then we'll not be able to hear attentively. Our mind will not be pure. When it comes to ahara, except eating anything and everything, कुछ भी ठेले पे खा लिया रास्ते में एकदम वड़ा पाव पानी पूरी this and that, yes. और team lunch team dinner में कुछ भी खा लिया, yes, or whatever, or even while having prasad एकदम ऐसे अब भारी आने वाला है उतना खा लिया, yes, इधर तक, and if someone peeps in your mouth they can see prasad. Even that is not good. No, that's not recommended in Shastra. Overeating will lead to oversleeping and will not be able to do much. Yes. Ahar. Nidra, you cannot sleep extensively, n number of hours the way you want. No. It is prescribed by the Acharya. He says minimum 6 hours at one place. Another place he says 7 hours is okay. And 7 hours is okay. Any person, doesn't matter even if he is the Vamshaj of Kumbhakarna, 7 hours is enough. Is enough. Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya, fear. So when a person is fearful of various changing material situations, he cannot be pure at mind. Because fear itself is a contamination at the level of mind. Very beautifully this is described in the verse, Bhayam Dityad Abhidivesha Tasyat. Very beautifully it is described that when we see things different from the Lord, not able to see how things are connected to the Lord, immediately we'll start fearing. Therefore, the great sadhus are able to see Lord in each and every living entity. They're not fearful of the snake around or tiger around, lion around. No, they're not fearful. They're fearful of cockroach also. Many times we have seen in the yatras. Recently, in one of the yatra, it happened that one Mataji came loudly shouting, "Ah!" And then I cannot shout like that. And immediately me and another yatra organizer, we came together and we saw it. Like, we said, what happened? Oh, chipkali andar. And Mataji, you shouted as some lion is there inside. So fear. So fear is contaminating. Sex is contaminating in itself if it is not in accordance with Shastra. And especially in the stage of brahmacharya, if you're maintaining brahmacharya, any activity which is sexual will violate the principle of sex according to Shastra. Zero sex at the level of brahmacharis. Zero sex in the bachelor life. At the level of mind, at the level of speech, at the level of body. And the ones who are married, sex only for begetting kids. That's what is recommended in Shastra. Anything more than this that is mentioned in Shastra will be contaminating. And that impurity will not allow the person to keep the mind pure. And where is the question of rapt attention? So in this way, these are the four things that Prabhupada is mentioning. And Prabhupada says, but somehow or other, if someone hears with rapt attention from the right person, at the very beginning, one can assuredly see Lord Krishna in person in the pages of Bhagavatam. Verdict of the Acharya. Very nice analysis. So the four instincts should be pure. Then the mind is pure. Then we can hear Bhagavatam class attentively. That does not mean that you're sitting in a Bhagavatam class and you say, anyways, 4 actions are not pure. So anyways, I cannot be attentive. So it's okay. No, not allowed. We should try our best. We should endeavor. We should endeavor at all levels to be pure. At all levels. Very important. So there are 3 stages of hearing which are mentioned in Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad, quoted by Baldev Vidyabhushan in Isa Upanishad 15 in the commentary. Shravanam, hearing. That's the first stage. And all of us, when we sit in a Bhagavatam class, this is the first thing that we do. We hear information. We jot down the information. That's Shravana. It's like putting food into the mouth. That's the first thing. That's the first stage of Shravanam. Second is Mananam. Manana means reflecting or recollecting. So you recollect the points from Bhagavatam class. So the initial hearing or Shravan is like putting the food in the mouth, and Manan is like chewing that food. Put in the mouth and you chew. That's called Manan or recollection. Third is Nididhyasana or applying in our day-to-day life what we have learned. It is like digesting the food. You digest the food. You'll see this very clearly. Those devotees who are able to give wonderful classes which penetrate the hearts of people. At least I have done this, experiment is not the right word, but something like experiment only. Where I have interviewed few devotees who give wonderful classes. And I would ask, so Prabhuji, how do you prepare classes? Please tell me. And one thing that I've heard multiple times from these speakers is that I contemplate on this subject, and before speaking, I try to apply that particular subject in my life. And therefore, when we hear those speakers, we will see it's not just information that is getting transferred, but there is something more than information. Because they have done Shravanam at all the levels. Where you hear, get information. Second, you chew on that information. That's called contemplation. And the third one is to apply that in your day-to-day life at whatever level you can apply. Therefore, when we sit in the class, the first thing that we get is information. And in the initial days, devotees will be enamored by information. It feels very nice. Oh, this is so nice. That is so nice. And it's good. I appreciate that. That's very nice. That's how a beginner should be. And then Manan or contemplation happens more nicely when you hear from a person who gives a lot of examples and this and that and makes them understand. Because what is needed is understanding next. Information I've got, but I need to understand that information better. So a speaker who has understood it, he can make the other people understand it very easily in a very simplified way. And our contemplation also will help us to understand it better. So Mananam is very important for understanding. And then when you apply in your day-to-day life, then you will see, by the mercy of the Lord, realizations will come. So information, understanding, realization. So just by doing proper Shravanam, all the 3 stages, one can go through information, understanding, and realization. And when the devotee has the treasure of many realizations, and every now and then he gets a new realization, that devotee, you will see, will be very enthusiastic in executing devotional service. Very enthusiastic. So now, what are the practical ways of being attentive? Because till now, whatever we discussed is on the level of, on the subtle level. But on the physical level, what are the different arrangements that we should make so that we can hear a class attentively? First and foremost, we should take care of the externals around. We should keep the disturbing element away. What is the disturbing element? फिर भी सब पास में लेके बैठे हैं. Therefore, it's very nice, to jot down on the book. And if you feel that's very cumbersome and your hand pains, You can always have a laptop and you can type. Yes. But having a mobile and which rings every now and then is an agent of Maya. One rare opportunity to hear a physical class. Usme ton. And the devotee is distracted and is thinking, is this important or rare? Or this is important or rare? And the mind says, this. Go, take the call. बस फिर गया जो भी 1 घंटा है उसमें से 5-10 मिनट चला गया. Sometimes half an hour gone. Therefore, I become very furious when, especially when brahmacharis, when they take the phone and go out. Therefore, we have a rule in brahmachari ashram that if you want to sit in a Bhagavatam class, your mobile phone should be away. Should be kept somewhere else. You cannot sit in a Bhagavatam class, with the mobile. So this is the first thing. Keep all the disturbing elements away. Yes. See, all the management that we do in ISKCON is for this one thing, so that devotees are able to do nice devotional service. So all the managers should have this in the mind. That all the management that we are doing is to give a platform where devotees can sit together and hear Krishna Katha, render nice devotional service. Therefore, it's very important to have a very quiet place without any disturbance to give Bhagavatam class or to hear Bhagavatam. Very important. Therefore, many times devotees announce, keep your mobiles on silent. And after 5 minutes, still some mobile will ring. And unfortunately, sometimes when parents get their small kids, the kids express their respect by crying. Whichever point they're like, and it goes on. And all the devotees will look at that child who's crying. Speaker is trying his best to keep the attention, but all the attention goes there. Yes. So therefore, it is recommended for those grahasthas, if you have small kids, you have to hear online. Don't sit in a Bhagavatam class physically. And don't consider that to be a curse to have a small child. It's a service. It's a service to bring the child up in Krishna consciousness. It's a service. So do that service properly. ऐसे नहीं होना चाहिए कि बच्चा रो रहा है, क्लास चल रहा है, सॉर्ट करके बजा. Chop. I want to hear the class. Chop. So one has to be practical. Obviously, small kids will cry. What can be done? Therefore, anytime any parent sit with a small kid, that too in front, I request them, please go behind at the door and sit. Don't sit here. And it's very nice. I have seen small kids are very cute anyways. The small kids will be there making various faces and this and that. All the other devotees around. Either Bhagavatam speaker is crying at the pitch of his voice. See, when you sit on the Vyasasana, you can see everything that is happening around. And very important, don't sleep in the class. If you feel sleepy, then go and wash your face. If you feel really very sleepy, even after washing face, go and stand behind. Give punishment to yourself. That's how you can be attentive in a class. Punish yourself saying, no, now I'll stand full 1 hour, I'll stand. Yes. Then there are some speakers very merciful. They'll say, go stand there. Good, they don't say kneel down. So that's a help. Which devotees get, from the senior devotees. Therefore, it's very important. And the most practical way to be awake throughout the class and to get the maximum benefit is to make notes. And you should know the art of making notes. See, we should jot down all the important points and various instructions that we're getting from the class. And then those points also you should be able to categorize in 2 categories. One is personal application. So you should note down, okay, these are for my personal application. So I should implement this. Tell me some of the personal application points that we learned today. Okay, stand if you're feeling sleepy. Okay, I'll note down. Okay, and? Okay, should sit straight. जैसे ही मैंने बोला सब Yes. And? Huh? Okay, make notes. Okay. Keep mobile phones away. Keep mobile phones away. Mobile is ringing. Keep notes. Keep mobile phone away. Okay. And you're typing on mobile. Very nice. And contemplate. So I should contemplate. So you got the points. What do you mean by personal application? See, always remember, even if you know the point, even if it's something that is very trivial, But if you feel it's a personal application, you should make a note of it. At least I do that for myself. Even if I know it, I've spoken it 100 times in my classes, still I'll also make a note when I'm sitting in a class. Because you never know that one note which I have made might nicely reinforce that point and I'll be able to do it more sincerely. Why not note it down? So this is called as personal application. So you should categorize it as personal application. And second one is preaching application. So those points will help us when we are preaching to others. Tell me some of the preaching application points.
Speaking to the newcomers, we should try our best to speak in such a way that we can hold them.
Yeah. So preaching application was about the difference between the two classes that we saw today. Yes. So we should know how to speak to the newcomers and how to hold them in the realm of Krishna consciousness.
Speaking to the devotees, right of
Yes. So when you're giving a class, when you're preaching to devotees, so how that preaching should be? It should be philosophy as it is. And all the philosophy, strong philosophy. And what I should speak, by which devotees will be helped to increase the desire, intensify the desire to advance in bhakti. And yes, so shloka should be quoted.
I should not speak.
Yes, what I shouldn't speak in a Bhagavatam class. Don't sing the song. Don't tell some titles of some movies. Try to apply, so we apply ourselves. That's personal application. At the same time, there's a preaching application where you can tell people that yes, we have to apply these points. And at the same time, we can also see that how Srila Prabhupada did that in his own life. We can make that note as well. That's called Prabhupada's mode and mission. So that's the third category called Prabhupada's mode and mission. You can note down that as well. That how Srila Prabhupada did that in his own life. You just note down. Prabhupada was attentive when he heard his spiritual master's class. Even if he didn't understand, still he heard it attentively. Those two lines itself will make you attentive. So something like that, Prabhupada's mode and mission. And those lines from the purport which are very amazing and strong. So we can note down that as given by Prabhupada. So in this way, when we make notes, it's a very active endeavor. And when you're making this active endeavor, when you're doing this actively, you'll see the mind is engaged, you're hearing attentively, you're benefited to the core. Therefore, one thing that all of us can do as devotees is we should try our best to keep ourselves attentive in the Bhagavatam class, understanding that this is the only way by which I can be saved. And those devotees who are attentive in the Bhagavatam class, or any class for that matter, at least this is my personal observation, they advance very fast in Krishna consciousness. And those devotees, in 1 hour, in 60 minutes, when they doze off 100 times, they are the ones, kitna bhi kuch bhi kar lo, it's very difficult for them to advance. Very difficult. Therefore, attentive hearing is very, very important. And Narada Muni is saying, oh Vyasadeva, you know what? I heard it attentively. And I had the mercy of these Bhakti Vedantas. And since I heard the class attentively, what happened? My taste for hearing Krishna Katha increased at every step. So if you really want to get taste for hearing Krishna Katha, we have to hear it respectfully. And the element of respect that we discussed today is attentively hearing the class. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.